Hello again. Um, this week's been okay. It's just been okay, really. Not that much crazy. A big revelation. If I set a goal for myself, I usually work pretty hard to attain that goal. Though oftentimes that goal isn't necessarily the goals I choose for myself often come a bit more naturally, and I don't fully realize it until I've already said it and I'm doing it. I noticed it specifically today because I wanted to replay the uh, rebooted God of War games to completion. I mean, 100%, platinum the trophies and everything. Obviously, because of the God of War La Fey announcement, but also because I realized I hadn't played the Valhalla expansion for Ragnarok yet. And even though I haven't played God of War 1 through 3, I still think it'll be a pretty good story to experience before I watch. I'm going to play God of War La Fey. I'm pretty invested in this series now, and if there's more to the story, even if it isn't going to involve Kratos exclusively, I'm more than happy to keep going. I might be one of some of the minority of people where I actually enjoyed doing Atreus' sections despite how slow they were. So, might just be me. I don't know. But that goal, I have almost completed God of War, the 2018. I just have like Muspelheim and Niflheim to complete. I gotta get all the tears, get all the challenges done. Then I got the Valkyrie Queen, and then after that, I can complete the game, and then I move on to Ragnarok. Um, Now, the reason I mention that is because my I'm gonna leave my goals for closer to the end because I want to talk about this now. Um, I mention that because my summer class has started, and I just submitted my introduction video, which is due today. Which, yeah, it went off smoothly. As a matter of fact, it was super easy. Who could have guessed? All I had to do was just do it. But I put it off. On Wednesday, I did it because I was waiting for a part of the page to load, which it didn't by the due date of the quiz, so I just decided to use what resources I had, and I succeeded anyway. So I was planning to do it on Wednesday, and then I just kind of didn't, which, yikes, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And yeah, my whole goal was to do it as early as possible. I specifically waited for that one because the quiz was pertaining to one of those resources that was missing. I wanted to make sure I was fully prepared and not missing anything, which it didn't work out really, which does suck, but I still managed pretty well and it wasn't that big of an issue. This one I didn't really have an excuse for. This one was an introduction. What do you think about these things? Tell us about yourself a little bit. How will this affect you? Yada, yada, yada. All that crap. And I still failed to do that. I'm going to do the other parts of the discussion tomorrow because uh, it's a bit late. I don't really want to do that. And plus, I have a quiz for it tomorrow, so reading over those things and then maybe perusing the text that I had to read for the discussion board will be more than enough to prepare me for that quiz and allow me to smoothly cruise through it. Now, on to my goals. Sleeping and working out have been pretty good. I, yeah, no, they've been going pretty good. I haven't had many, if any, problems with those. My pornography goal. The failure just kind of trends on into, has trailed on into this month, and I've been finding it pretty difficult to hop back on the wagon. I like the approach I was taking. The only issue is if there is failure, you lose everything. The whole system is built heavily off of momentum. you keep going and going, and it just snowballs until eventually it's done. But what happens when your snowball crashes into a wall? Now you've only got half the hill to build up the exact size snowball that you would reach at the bottom of the hill from the top. And it just doesn't quite hit the same. So I think my method for this just doesn't quite work. At least not like this. It works at the beginning of the year, but if I fail at all in the year, then it kind of doesn't function. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to, well, I don't know. I'm gonna brainstorm a couple ideas before I go back to something because there's a reason I moved away from it, but it did work for a time, so maybe going back to it now will be very informative, or at the very least, very helpful. Currently, I'm supposed to be going a full 7 days without doing it. The plan I had was going to be um, going back to the thing where I did it like twice or once a week, and then escalated from there. Specifically, going to maybe once every 2 weeks, or I can do it once every other week instead, which could very well work, and it could put me on the right path to sort of get that snowball. But I don't think I'm quite strong enough to do the snowball method right now. Just not really capable of that at the moment. So I think I'm gonna have to change up my strategy, and then again, if I do fail, I always have next year, and that year I can try the snowball method again, and maybe it'll be more successful then. So that's kind of where I stand right now. I have been having a lot of trouble, and as much as I'd like to do a little more about it, I think this month might just be a sort of relapse month where I'm taking the time to reevaluate how I'm approaching these things and maybe figuring out a different course of action, as well as maybe something else I can do. I mentioned that I wanted to try and utilize my schoolwork as a way of distracting myself. Clearly, that didn't work because I just fucking procrastinated. So, fun. But I think, as I said earlier in the video, very helpful, I think I do need to just set some goals for myself and sort of just obsess over it. Continually do it over and over again. Not just one singular thing, but maybe like one or two different goals. Because I've been doing God of War, and then if I'm ever getting particularly bored of 100%ing, which can be rather arduous, I go to something like Red Dead Redemption, which funnily enough, I was actually using God of War as a replacement for Red Dead Redemption because I felt like I was rushing a bit too much through it. And also, I'm in like the final chapter, uh, quote unquote, before the epilogue, and man, it is so fucking sad. It is so depressing. It really is. Ugh, I love the game. To clarify, I adore the game. I knew damn well after finishing the first game, I was really gonna like the second game no matter what. But holy shit, I didn't expect to like the game nearly as much as I did. I think my only gripe is that the soundtrack is not nearly as memorable as the first, but I also understand why. It's they serve completely different purposes. One of them actually is a western, and the other one takes place more towards the Midwest and the East Coast. I mean, you go as far as Louisiana in Red Dead Redemption 2. Quote. There, it's Lemoyne seems to be based off of Louisiana, but like you know, it's not so much a western. There is a little bit of the original. Actually, there's quite a bit of the original map, except for Mexico, uh, from Red Dead One. But it largely takes place more towards the east, and then I think the epilogues are where you get into. get into the actual West and it starts to transition more into a Western. No real spoilers, not really anyway. Just the things that I kind of knew would happen and they got confirmed to me would happen through like thumbnails and shit, or maybe some small analysis from the beginning of the story, which, again, assumed it would happen, kind of guessed. But I've been using it as a wow. I fucking meandered real fast there. Um, I was utilizing it as a sort of replacement or distraction for that, so that I can come back to Red Dead Redemption 2 renewed, revitalized, and maybe a little more willing to deal with the depression after the fucking arduous path that they put you through from, I think, the end of chapter 4 all the way to chapter 6. So that's currently what I'm doing, but I think I should take that as a lesson to set goals for myself because I haven't really thought about using pornography so long as I've been trying to work on those goals. So if I set a couple of goals for myself, maybe video game related goals, maybe some work related goals, or maybe some yard work, really just anything, I can probably use it as a way of coping and staving off that desire whenever oh excuse me that desire whenever it pops up. Um, is it going to be easy? Fuck no. This is something I'm going to have to learn to do. This isn't something that's been ingrained in me. I've just learned that it's something that I kind of unintentionally do regularly. So actually learning to harness that type of, I guess, power, but learning to harness that little bit of my mind is not going to be easy, but it's going to be something I'm going to try to do. I think in my book, I checked it. I checked some stuff off in it before I did the video, and so didn't need to look at it for my stuff. But I have a to-do list which is filled with a bunch of really difficult challenges. These aren't even like goals per se. These are kind of like the challenges in Red Dead Redemption 2, where and Red Dead Redemption 1, where you're just doing like, well, actually the one I haven't had any level 10, but I would equate these to like level 10 challenges, kind of the top of the top shit that I don't think I'll be able to do without a lot of time and effort put into them. So probably gonna have to. I mean, I'm gonna have to keep those around for sure. Maybe devote a little more energy into them. But also, I'm probably gonna have to put a portion of my book dedicated specifically to whatever goals I'd like to get done for the month. And if those do finish, maybe I can go ahead and specifically try to do all the stuff on my to-do list while thinking of a bunch of my goals that I want to do for the month, for next month. So I think that's a good approach. Hopefully, hopefully, I can actually harness that stuff and put it into practice. I don't just want to say it. There's plenty of times in this series where I say that I want to do something and then I just let it float off into the abyss, I guess. It's it's a pretty consistent occurrence. I would like to try this. It is like halfway through the month, but I'll try to keep these goals in mind and try to do something for next month. Try to set something that I would like to do later. The goals don't necessarily need to be completed by the end of the month, but they are something to specifically push my energy towards. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I did mention how it was getting difficult to resist pornography on the higher end because it was mostly passive. It was something that I just kind of had to sit down and do. And the longer I sat down and did nothing else, the more the thought just kind of penetrated my skull and started permeating throughout my brain. So I think I think I should have probably instituted something like this back then, but I mean, I'm having an actual revelation of how to do it now, so better late than never, right? At the very least, I'm making the change. But, anywho, I have nothing else to yap about anymore. I'm done explaining myself. I will see myself next time.